Hey there, this is Malorian, and this will be a Warhammer Fantasy Battle Report. And this will be the next one in the campaign I'm doing with Kieran Dunleavy, and really, this is going to be a lot of fun. I went and I designed each of my armies to be off a fluffy idea. So I have a Night Goblin army, I have a Monster Mash army, and this one here is Merika'n. So basically, when I was off at Brawler Bash, had a game with Matthew Miller. He's a Dejekar from the Bromance Wargaming, and after our game, he actually gave me this War Boss model as just a gift. And I'm one of these guys where I just love all the different ways you can build the different orc war bosses. I have like a shelf of just orc and goblin characters. But this one here is going to be Merika'n. He's just a black orc war boss with the armor of Gork. That's the one that gives you D6 impacts, and also you get plus D3 toughness. So very simply, he's a black orc. He can pick whatever weapons he wants. And for fluff-wise, in his army, it's all about America. It's might is right, and it's you don't need any of those inferior goblins. It's all about the big strong orcs. Get in there and punch you in the face. So there will be the little bit of a liability that I don't have any war machines, I don't have any magic, but it's still a pretty strong list because it comes down to combat. And if you couldn't see those American type model, he has basically the American flag for a cape. So just again, supporting how he's America. Anyway, as part of this campaign, I rolled up that I was able to pick the scenario and also who got to go first. So the big thing that came to me was Watchtower, because if I won the role to go in the Watchtower and got to go first, that would just be ridiculous. I would be able to get my reinforcements in there right away, and it would just be pretty silly. So really what that means then is it was 50-50, but he won the role. So he's going to be starting his Lizardmen in here, and as well, this is not a weak player I'm up against. He's a very experienced, very strong Lizardman player, and already even though he didn't know until he showed up exactly what mission was going to be, he had guessed it was going to be Watchtower, and he built his list to deal with the Watchtower. So this will be two strong players knowing the mission, and this always makes for a really great game. So for me, I have a whole bunch of characters. So I got Merika'n, which we already covered. I'm going to have my BSB there, just all set to be nice and tough with great weapons and good stuff. I have two Savage Orc war bosses with just a great weapon, good to go. And then I also have another Savage Orc big boss that is going to be having extra choppa and also the potion of toughness. So he's somebody supposed to go in there, take a challenge, and do a little bit of extra slicing away. Also, this unit has the flaming banner, so whenever you charge a Watchtower, they all get to re-roll the wound because there's no magical weapons. It's just a whole bunch of punch in the face and do it even harder. I mean, the only way this could be stronger is if I Grimgore or something, but given the campaign, I didn't want to take any special characters. Now, like I said, he built his list around knowing it was going to be this too, and so he had the same idea. He has a horde of Source here, that's going to be the main bus. They all have hand weapon shields. There's a little bit of a mix of weapons, but it's hand weapon shields. And he's going to be having a Old Blood here. That's the model on the left, and he really is decked out. He's going to have his BSB. He's going to have a Skink Priest in there to make sure they're not baited around. And he's also going to have this character that's the third from the right, and he's going to be the bane of my existence because he has the Sword of Anti-Heroes. So he's going to be pretty damn tough. So otherwise, on the left flank, I'm going to have my Savage Orc Boar Boys. I'm going to have a Chariot, regular Boar Boys, big huge horde of Orcs with shields. For him, he is going to be having a Ancient Stegodon, some Skinks with another Skink Priest. They're both with the Lore of Heavens, so they're pretty cool spells. I mean, normally I'd say Wild Form, but we'll talk about this after. He has some Salamanders, more Skinks, Raptordactyls or whatever, and they're going after my Boar Boys. There's also the Chameleon Skinks. And on this side here, too, just to finish him off, more Skinks, more Chameleons, more Salamanders on the right, and he also has a Pterodon character up on the Temple of Skulls. Just to finish off the terrain, we actually rolled up 6, but most of it won't matter. The woods on my side is going to be a regular wood. There will be the river on the left side that's kind of interesting, but for the most part, it doesn't do too much. For me, I have a nether chariot. I have the 20 savages that wish they started in the building or something. And I also have the 40 orcs here on the right. Now, one of the things I'm going to come back to, but looking here at deployment, one mistake I made was the placement of the savages and of the orcs. Given that those salamanders cause panic tests, that horde really needed to be more central. Plus, if I want something baited away, it can't be the close unit. So a little bit of a deployment mistake on my part here, but even then, it's I really feel like my unit can get in there and beat up those guys fast. All right, so this is after all the vanguards and stuff, and so he's just a little bit more moved up with the raptor dactyls and stuff. I guess we already kind of saw this, but this is where I really kind of focus that this will be the target, right? What's happening on the flanks really doesn't matter. It all comes down to this tower, and it's all going to come down to all the things of trying to get characters in there, trying to block the unit in so they can't be leaving to get somebody else in new. And again, I'm up against an experienced player, so all the tricks will be used. So first turn, I have a little bit of animosity issues, but that's not too bad because these orcs are kind of scared of his salamanders anyway. And otherwise, yeah, the big unfortunate thing that happened was that I failed my initial charge. Needed to roll a 7, rolled like a 4 or something. So this is a whole round of combat that I missed out on. So you know what happens? It's kind of like a coin flip sometimes. I could have put on the banner for +1 speed, and it could have helped, but the way I rolled, I would have failed anyway. But yeah, that's kind of a bit of a blow. Otherwise, the Boar Boys goes after the Chameleon Skinks. They flee and they get away. Everything else moves up, and no magic, no shooting. We are done. So on his turn, he is going to be running these Ripper Dactyls in front of me to kind of threaten me, slow me down. And remember, they got killing blows, so they're kind of scary. He's also going to be getting off this Ice Shard Blizzard, and this is going to really, really kick me in the teeth all game. And just talking about it now, I always felt that when you go with Lizardmen, going for wild form is the way to go. But it has a kind of a hard casting value. This Ice Shard Blizzard is easier to cast, and man, the -1 leadership can be pretty big when you have salamanders and stuff like this, and terror tests that are possible, and as well, that -1 to hit is just as mathematically significant as -1 to wound, basically, for the wild form. So, yeah, it's a hell of a good spell, and he could be casting it twice if I don't stop them both. Otherwise, he does rally with his salamanders. As you can see on the right there, sorry, not salamanders, his chameleon skinks. His other chameleon skinks are running up to redirect me on the right side, and otherwise he's just moving on up and didn't really get too much else done. So on my turn, this unit over here is going to fail animosity and can't do anything, but they're kind of pinned in, so it's not that big of a deal. Otherwise, sorry about all the blurry pictures, but I really was trying to figure out what to do here. I could either charge in and hope I get lucky, or I could stand around and get shot. I decided to go for the gamble and charge him, and we'll see if I can do okay. Because, if I can sneak in a wound, I already got a charge. If I can make him take his stubborn test on his regular leadership 5 or 6, or whatever he is, I could take this guy off the board, and it could be really nice. And, even if I did try to avoid him and try and, bait him away, he could always just ignore my bait and go to the center. So I figured this is the best bet. All right, back to a non-blurry picture. The other charges is I have to go into Ripper Dactyls because that's just what I have to do. And then the Savages have to go into the Chameleon Skinks if I ever want to do anything. Over here, did not go so well. I lost by 1. I failed, but he failed to restrain, so he is forced to pursue. So that's okay. I kind of lost this fight, but he's still kind of out of the game. Otherwise, I killed the Ripperdactyls, no problem. Killed the Salamanders, no problem. And the biggest thing I wanted to do was to trap that unit inside. Because if they get out and the big unit with characters get in, that's how newbies lose the game. So that's what I do. The Chariot and the Boar Boys move up so that they are pretty much just trapping that unit inside and forcing him to really inject his characters rather than just putting them all inside. So on his turn, that's what he does. All four of these characters go in, and again, I mean, I would be feeling a lot better about this if I had gotten that first round charge, because then would have killed enough guys that these guys would have had to be in the fight, and then all of a sudden I can be trying to kill the BSB, I can be trying to kill the general or whatever, but now I'm going to have to kind of just chew through, and he can pick whatever characters he wants to go in there, and at the end of the day, even if there's just one character left, hey, cold-blooded, stubborn in a building, yeah, he's not going to shift. So this is bad news, but not as bad as it could be. Otherwise, over here, he's going to be trying to do a riddle from the Sphinx, and the Sphinx is going to go and give him devastating charge. By the way, there's also that Temple of Skulls that he was on there the first turn. Turned out that his Skink Priest also got like +3 ballistic skill. So far, a lot of useless buffs being going on from this terrain. Otherwise, this was kind of funny too. Double misfire from the salamanders eats 5 of his skinks, so you know that's nice for me. And otherwise, it looks like this. So he comes up and shoots up the. Well, first of all, he drops rocks on the chariot, and then with all the poison shots, that chariot's gone. So that kind of hurts because there's only real chaff I had on this side. And otherwise, he moves up to try and go up to my chariot on the left. Shooting does a wound to it, kills a couple of boar boys. He's up there to redirect them with the chameleons, because, again, what I'd really like to do is, again, just try and keep those the big, huge horde away if I can. But really, at this point now, it's all about just trying to charge in there and grind it up. So on my turn, I do some charges. I have to go into Chameleon Skinks, and the chariot comes in, but the chariot rolls a 1 on the river, crashes, and dies. So, could have happened, would have been nice. Otherwise, I go into the building here, and this is where this hero with the anti-hero sword is going to be a big deal, because what do you do to deal with him? The stuff that I can go first and fight him with, like Merika'n, it's really quite a big gamble. So what I decide to do is I pop my potion of toughness, and I'm just going to take it on the chin on my big boss with 2 choppas this turn. So otherwise, I go in there. He's able to kill that Choppa guy, no problem. But I do kill a ton of his guys inside the tower. So that was pretty nice. But again, man, that -1 to hit was such a huge deal. So that really sucked. Otherwise, on the right side, I tried to do a charge and the salamanders failed. The Orcs swift reform and move in a little bit. And then otherwise, yeah, I was able to kill the chameleon skinks. I just let them run away, and I just kind of faced the inside. On to his turn, he's going to be running up the Stegodon. Now, on my turn, I just walk these guys up because, really, this is the best thing I can do. This unit, this horde, means nothing. All that matters is the Black Orcs. So if I can keep this Stegodon off the Black Orcs for a few turns, that's all I need them to do. And if steadfast, I'm good to go. Otherwise, what he's able to do is get his unit out the right side. So you can see it's really just characters and a handful of Saurus, but then his horde goes inside. So what I would really need to do now is get in there and just start killing that horde off. And then on the right, if I can tie up those characters or something, that could help a lot too. Otherwise, over here, he beats me up, but I hold. And this is what it kind of looks like at the end. So he's kind of running with his skinks, trying to shoot down some of my Black Orcs, trying to reduce their number. Shoots up the Boar Boys, isn't able to kill them. There's still 1 left, so he can try and do something fun, but there's nobody really back there anymore. And yeah, that's really it. Another big thing, sorry, here too, is that if you look at this picture, my shield orcs on the right could try going for a charge onto his characters, and with all my ranks, I'd be holding them up forever. But he flew up his Pterodon character or whatever, and he's there to redirect me. So, yeah, so much for that. So on my turn, I'm forced to charge into him and charge back into the building. And really, I'm able to beat the character on static res and then overrun into the skinks. And then otherwise, on the other side, that little boar boy just kind of ran over, just to try and threaten things. He beats up my shield orcs with a stegodon. I'm still steadfast. And yeah, kill a ton of his guys in the building. But again, not as much as it could have been because of that stupid -1 they hit. So on his turn, this is really a huge, huge swing in his favor. Whereas before, I was kind of hoping that these guys might try and charge my orcs or something on the right side. He does the smart thing and puts the characters back into the building. So since I was not able to tie them up, now all of a sudden he has about 30 Saurus and his 4 characters in here again. I did 1 wound to this guy with the Sword of Anti-Heroes, but it's still this is a lot to chew through, and I really need the game to go long now in order for this to even happen. So after everything's done here, really it's just he rallied with his other skink chief there. He keeps on killing my orcs. I have this thing where before, when I didn't lose by too much, I didn't want to go and face him because I wanted to still be close enough to get my generals rerolls and stuff. So that's why I'm staying with that facing. I went 6 wide, and we'll get to that. Might be an issue later. So on the next turn here, I'm able to beat up the skinks, and then, oh sorry, I charge the skinks. They are going to flee. I'm going to redirect into the character. I'm going to beat him on static combat res again. He will break and get away. I will charge into the building again and try and do some real damage there. And otherwise, the savages have to go into these skinks. He's set up to redirect me. Meanwhile, the boar boy is going to go and hopefully tie up the salamanders. Here in the building, I'm going for gold. I'm going for the moon here. Merika'n, like I said, has probably the best chance. If I can just do 1 wound to this guy, he'll be dead, and I don't need to worry about this anti-heroes. If I don't kill him, he'll have like 8 strength 8 attacks, and I'm dead. And unfortunately, because of that stupid, -1, yeah, he just comes in here and kills Merika'n. And that's really bad for a couple of reasons. 1, because I lose my general. 2, because I lose this really killy character. 3, because I didn't even kill him in return. And lastly, in the campaign now, I'll have to roll on a table to see what extra badness happens to him. So overall, then, it looks like this. Of course, I kill the skinks with my savages, and they're forced to overrun. He's still killing my orcs on the left side. I actually beat his salamander. I make all my armor saves, and I actually beat him, but he holds. So that's kind of too bad, but hey, if nothing else, at least those salamanders won't be shooting next turn. So on his turn, he's going to be charging into the flank here. And this is something where it actually is in my favor. Normally, if you saw this, it's like, oh yeah, I redirected the savages, and now we're going to kick their butt. However, my orcs will strike first, hit on 3s, wound on 3s, and kill most of his guys before he even goes. So, these Savage Orc Biggins, they can actually still win this because he just doesn't have enough guys to take on those, what's going to be 9 strength 5 attacks. So as you can see there, I beat them up, but I rolled like double 1 for pursue, so his 2 guys get away. Meanwhile, what else is going on here on his turn? He's still grinding away on my orcs on the left side there. He's going to be killing my boar boy there as well. And yeah, his shooting into my black orcs is really starting to hurt because remember, I need to shoot for the long game now. And if he kills all my black orcs, that's just not going to work. So in this next round, I'm now hoping onto my orc here. I mean, again, he's able to go with either great weapon or 2 choppas. So he's going to come here and try and kill him first. But they had the same initial, so probably it'll just be a double kill. And yeah, they both go down. And I mean, we're going to talk about this later, but keep in mind, this little Scarvet has now killed 3 characters. He killed my general, killed my BSB, and also killed that big boss in the first round, or second round. So, he's done some really nasty work to me. But then comes the break test, and he rolls triple 6s. So, when you look at the reroll, 1-1-2. Oh, they're just teasing me. After all I lost there, if you would have broke, that would have been huge. But I mean, you're talking about cold-blooded 9. Or what is it? Leadership 8, I think it is. It's probably not going to happen. So otherwise, it's looking like this. Still getting ground down on the one side. Savages charge his two guys. They flee. I fail my test to redirect, so I'm forced to try and go after them. Orcs reform and start going back to horde formation and going towards the center, and that's pretty much it. So we're on to his turn, and these guys roll double one to rally. And then he starts really shooting up these guys, and this is going to really hurt because he gets off his silly spell. It's going to be irresistible, but it doesn't really matter. He actually rolled the Dimensional Cascade, but he's not pulled into the warp, and he kills like one source. So, man, I mean, this Ice Shard Blizzard is, I can't stress enough. I've been saying it like 100 times, but this was a game changer. Then his shooting comes in, and he kills everything except for the characters. And these last two characters take one wound each as well. So, yeah, that's taking these guys out as a threat. And so really all I have now is him trying to kill these guys here on the left. By the way, one thing I want to say is that the turn before this, I actually would have won combat against the Stegodon, except when I went 6 wide, and I ended up with 10 guys, that meant I didn't have a rank bonus. If I actually would have had that rank, I would have beaten him by 1, and maybe they would have broke, and maybe they could have done a little bit, but otherwise, the main thing here is even without a BSB or a general, who even needs those chumps? I still make my leadership 7. So looking at this here, I'm really taking my lickings. He doesn't have a lot of guys, though, left. He now lost that character, so he has his BSB, he has his general, he has something like 10 or so Saurus left in the building, and even though this unit is decimated, my Savage Orc Biggins can now charge in. However, that was now already turn 6. We rolled a 4+, and the game was over. So at the end of the game, Lizardmen, they hold the tower and they take the win. So poor Merika'n, he's going to be suffering some things here. First of all, for me losing, I had to pick one of my units to get stupidity. And unfortunately, I don't have any trolls, so I can't just pawn it off on them. So I decide, you know what? We're going to put it on Merika'n. It kind of goes with it. He should have stupidity. And as well, for him dying, the negative thing I had to take too is that now he is going to have fear against Lizardmen, against the army I just faced. So Merika'n, a little bit too little blows there. I mean, leadership 9, neither of these things really matter much. But I maybe got some like jungle poison. All of a sudden, it's messing with his mind, and he's scared of Lizardmen, and he's stupid, and I don't know. But either way, a fun game. All right, so I just want to take a few seconds here to talk about some of the things I think kind of led to my downfall. I mean, the first thing I want to say is, of course, failing that first charge. That really didn't help, but again, it's like a coin flip, so I mean, it can go kind of either way. But again, one of the things I want to kind of show here is how deployment kind of played its part through the game. On the right side, you can see where the savages are, and I put them there because of this force. I want to say, oh, if anything charged me, I'm going to win anyway. However, if you look at his army, he has no real combat threat except for the horde that's going for the building. So really, I'm not worried about losing combat. So my whole premise of why I put them there is not really valid. Now, if you remember, the big reason why I couldn't tie up those characters is because he had all of these skink units over here and stuff that could redirect me. Now, if he would not have been able to redirect and slow down my savages, having those solid orcs there would have really, really helped. And so I kind of threw myself back there with deployment. Another thing we were talking about at the end as well is that when it first came to dealing with that sort of anti-heroes, I decided to try and do this through challenges. However, looking at it after, what I should have done is instead just decline the challenge. He would have had to pick which character to go to the back, and when I asked him which one he'd pick, he's like, well, it's kind of a hard one, but he'd probably do Merika, which is a hard one because he wants to kill Merika, but he wants to take all those attacks away too. So let's assume I had declined that first round. He would have said that he would have then put his attacks against the BSB and some other character, just trying to kill two characters in one go. However, with all the characters then directing their attacks on him, he would have been dead first turn. So true, I might have lost the BSB. Sorry, no. Let's just say this. I would lose the BSB, and then maybe I lose another character too. However, remember that over the course of the game, given what I did, he killed 3 characters. So overall, I should have probably just played it out better in my head and really just made sure that guy was gone. Because playing for the long game, a guy with like 8 strength, 8 attacks, or whatever it was, is pretty nuts. And you just can't have that when there's all these characters that you're depending on. So that was a little bit of a tactical mistake on my part. But either way, a big thing we talked about is just the tactical parts of this game. The whole idea where a lot of people hate Watchtower, but when you got 2 strong players that know what they're doing, it's a really tough game, and it can really come down to dice and just small mistakes, as opposed to the somewhat common concept of like, oh, just take the right list and you win. It really isn't like that at all. I mean, unless you're playing against somebody who does not design their list for Watchtower or does not know how to play for Watchtower. So either way, I really enjoyed this game. I hope you like watching it, and we'll catch you later. Bye.